This is SkyTour News for October 8th to 14th. I'm Amanda Curran. October 9th, 1604. Supernova 1604 is observed for the first time. Supernova 1604, also known as Kepler's supernova, was a supernova of type 1a that occurred in the Milky Way in the constellation Ophiuchus. Appearing in 1604, it is the most recent supernova in our own galaxy to have been unquestionably observed to the naked eye, occurring no further than about 20,000 light-years from Earth. Visible to the naked eye, Kepler's star was brighter at its peak than any other star in the night sky, with an apparent magnitude of -2.5, and was visible during the day for over 3 weeks. Records of its sighting exist in European, Chinese, Korean, and Arabic sources. It was the second supernova to be observed in a generation, after supernova 1572, seen by Tycho Brahe in Cassiopeia. No further supernova have since been observed with certainty in our Milky Way, though many other outside our galaxy have been seen since S Andromeda in 1855. The supernova remnant resulting from Kepler's supernova is considered to be one of the prototypical objects of its kind, and is still an object of much study in astronomy. Concerned with observing the conjunction of Mars and Jupiter, astronomers were able to make observations on October 9th, but did not record the supernova. The first recorded observation in Europe was by Ludovico del Calome in northern Italy on October 9, 1604. The weather only enabled Kepler to begin observing the luminous display on October 17th while working at the Imperial Court in Prague. It was subsequently named for him, even though he was not the first observer, as his observations tracked the object for an entire year, and because of his book on the subject entitled On the New Star in Ophiuchus's Foot. October 14th, 1968. The first live telecast from a manned U.S. spacecraft. Apollo 7 was an October 1968 human spaceflight mission carried out by the United States. It was the first mission in the United States' Apollo program to carry a crew into space. It was also the first U.S. spacecraft to carry astronauts since the flight of Gemini 12 in November of 1966. Apollo 7 fulfilled Apollo 1's mission of testing the Apollo Command Service Module in low Earth orbit. Their mission was Apollo's C mission, an 11-day Earth orbital test flight to check out the redesigned Block 2 CSM with the crew on board. It was the first time a Saturn 1B vehicle put a crew into space. Apollo 7 was the first 3-person American space mission and was the first to include a live TV broadcast from an American spacecraft. It was launched on October 11, 1968, from what was then known as Cape Kennedy Air Force Station in Florida. For the first time, astronauts had both hot and cold water to prepare meals with, as the food came in freeze-dried vacuum packs that would be injected with water or else eaten dried followed by a sip of water. As sleeping in the fetal position was cramping and painful, a stretching device called an exergenie was provided for relaxing aching muscles. Their mission was a complete technical success, giving NASA the confidence to send Apollo 8 into orbit around the Moon 2 months later. The current location of the Apollo 7 spacecraft is at the Frontiers of Flight Museum in Dallas. October 12, 1972. Mariner 9 takes pictures of the Martian North Pole. Mariner 9 was an unmanned NASA space probe that contributed greatly to the exploration of Mars and was part of the Mariner program. Mariner 9 was launched towards Mars on May 30, 1971, and reached the planet on November 14th of the same year, becoming the first spacecraft to orbit another plane. After months of dust storms, it managed to send back clear pictures of the surface. Mariner 9 was designed to continue the atmospheric studies begun by Mariner 6 and 7, and to map over 70% of the Martian surface from the lowest altitude of 930 miles and at the highest resolution from 1 kilometer per pixel to 100 meters per pixel. An infrared radiometer was included to detect heat sources in search of evidence of volcanic activity. It was to study the temporal changes in the Martian atmosphere and surface. Mars's 2 moons were also to be analyzed. After 349 days in orbit, Mariner 9 had transmitted 7,329 images, covering 85% of Mars's surface, whereas previous flyby missions have returned less than 1,000 images, covering only a small portion of the planetary surface. The images revealed riverbeds, craters, massive extinct volcanoes, such as Olympus Mons, the largest known volcano in the solar system, canyons, evidence of wind and water erosion and deposition, weather fronts, fogs, and more. Mars's moons Phobos and Deimos were also photographed. After depleting its supply of attitude control gas, the spacecraft was turned off on October 27, 1972. Mariner 9 remains a derelict satellite in Mars's orbit. It is expected to remain in orbit until approximately 2022, when the spacecraft is projected to enter the Martian atmosphere and either burn up or crash into the planet's surface. This is SkyTour News. I'm Amanda.